Manual 3, New Zealand. So your arrival in New Zealand, guys, means that you should be really getting a feel for what the job constitutes. Hopefully you feel your confidence is building and you're nearly ready to start working and having cracking days out there in the field, getting ready to crush some deals. That rush that you get from crushing sales is why our older sellers have been in the role for so long. Despite having qualifications and degrees in other fields, it's this sales buzz that keeps us hooked. There's not many roles in the world where you're in total and absolute control of your own destiny. This is usually reserved only for business owners. And it's why taking accountability and ownership for your results is probably the most important psychological change you must make right now. We live by the saying, you can either make sales or make excuses, but you can't do both. The next section of your journey will allow you to build on what you already know, to enhance your skills, increase your success ratios, and learn more techniques that will build your confidence. At this destination, New Zealand, we're going to discuss the 8 steps to a successful day. We're going to look at a goal plan. We're going to talk about the art of alignment and empathy. We're going to discuss some IPG values, and we're going to introduce some IPG superseller laws and belief. Remember, becoming comfortable with a new practice at an intellectual level is not enough. Taking action is what creates your success. And you will learn more through application than overanalyzing. So throw yourself in the deep end and you'll learn to swim a lot faster. So let's talk about the 8 steps. The 8 steps. So you're on top of the 3 steps, right? We've gone through the 5 steps and now it's time to crack the hat trick and talk about the 8 steps. Put simply, the 8 steps are your keys to sales success at IPG. They dictate the behavioral and psychological actions you must take in order to ensure your performance. This is particularly important in your early days when you're still acquiring new skills. So like building a new house, the foundations provide strength to the physical structure. In the same way, the 8 steps are the building blocks that you should always refer back to. You should always rate yourself on and which form the rules of your practice. So let's discuss them further. Number 1, positive mental attitude. Belief in your own ability is at the basis of PMA. If you know that you are going to succeed, then there is very little that can get in your way. If you do not believe that it's possible for you to do something, then you are rarely going to succeed at a task. Therefore, it is very simple to give yourself a head start in life by deciding that problems are merely challenges on your route to success. And that is what PMA or positive mental attitude is all about. Step 2 is maintaining that positive mental attitude. The biggest challenge most of us face in the day. To many, the world is full of negatives and problems everywhere they look. To others, life can be full of positives. In truth, there are, of course, both the good and the bad, but the difference comes down to how you react to them. You and you only can make the conscious decision on how to react to any given situation. If you choose to see the good in everything, then very little will get you down. And these little things that people worry about will not even affect you. So that's number 1. And number 2, positive mental attitude and maintaining a positive mental attitude. Step 3 is being prepared. This does not only relate to the fact that you need to have your physical preparation, like your folders, pen, tickets, credit card receipts, PDQs organised at the start of the day, your territory fully mapped before you leave the office, but you must also be mentally prepared for the challenges that you'll face in a day. We call this the 6 Ps. Prior preparation prevents piss poor performance. Step 3 of the 8 is to be prepared. Step 4, and we're not even going to overdo this one, is to be on time. This is so simple. If you're not early, you're late. And those who run late physically always nearly run late mentally. So I suggest getting up early, getting to the office 15 minutes early, getting to the field 15 minutes early, and start selling 15 minutes earlier than most people do. One of the things that I find quite interesting is on late night shopping on Thursday nights. Our figures suggest that people don't actually switch on until at least midday. If you're on time, always on time, you're one step ahead of everyone else. Step 5, work your 8 hours. Working the whole day lets the law of averages pay off in your favor, and the law of averages is one of the superseller laws at IPG. The more work you put in, the more preparations and presentations you will make, and therefore the more sales you will close. If you've fallen short of your target for that day, then don't return home disappointed. Instead, squeeze out a few through another sales channel. Residential, train stations, parks, supermarkets, hostels, clubs, pubs, whatever it is, another B2B territory. Working your 8 hours gives the law of averages the chance to pay off, and if it doesn't pay off that day, it will pay off in droves the next. That's step 5, work your 8 hours. Step 6, work your territory correctly. You will never know for certain who your customers are or where they are at a given time. That's why you must ask everyone that you can and smother your territory. For example, when in B2B, operate by the golden rule, every door, every floor, to ensure you have let the law of averages work in your favor. If you're in an event like a shopping center or university or expo, nothing will increase your close rates as much as simply doubling the amount of people you ask. Remember, your job is to seek out new prospects, not to sit there and be an order taker. If that were the case, paintball tickets would be sold at a vending machine. Working hard and working your territory correctly is the golden rule, and that forms step 6. Step 7 is to know why you're here and where you're going. If you don't know why you're here or running your own business, there's nothing driving you forward to achieve more and more and more on a daily basis. It would be like taking off in your car and driving around with no real destination to get to. You need to know that this is your business and you are the CEO. You determine precisely what outcomes you experience. The key word here is ownership. Set yourself some goals and make a goal plan to go about hitting them. Take control is step 8. Keep control of yourself, your feelings, emotions, motivation, and ultimately the sale. This instills the product's confidence in you. If even a shadow of a doubt exists in your belief in your own ability or in the product, the prospect will observe this, they'll sniff it out, and they'll reject the purchase for fear of buyer failure. They'll pick up on your anxiousness and they'll avoid purchasing. Everyone wants to feel that our product has been bought 1,000 times over, and it has. And your job as the salesperson is to help the prospect overcome any purchase anxiety. You are the one leading them through the presentation, not vice versa. So to recap on the steps 1 to 8. 1, positive mental attitude. 2, maintain a positive mental attitude. 3, be prepared. 4, you must be on time. 5, work your 8 hours. 6, work your territory correctly. 7, know why you're here and where you're going. And 8, take control. So moving on to personal goals. The huge benefit of working under a commission plan is that your goals that somewhat seemed a distance are now all of a sudden not so far away. They're actually within reach if you stay committed to the pursuit of your goals. Goals are the driving force behind your daily process and practice. They give you the motivation to jump out of the bed in the morning and to push to turn a poor day into a positive direction when you're on a donut at 3 o'clock. They keep you engaged. Powerful, well-constructed goals are the difference between the high flyers and the rest. Check out these stats published from Harvard University, some interesting figures about goal setting and salespeople. 6 out of 10 salespeople don't set outcome goals, and this group earns the least out of all salespeople. 3 out of 10 salespeople set income-based goals, and this group earns double the income of those that set no goals at all. And only 1 in 10 salespeople set specific goals and a plan on how to achieve them. This group, as you can imagine, is the most successful, earning 3 times as much as those who set no goals at all. So what we suggest you do is take a sheet of paper and brainstorm. Take a moment to scribble down everything you desire. This is not about work, it's about your life as a whole. The stuff that gets you out of bed in the morning. Don't be too structured, just get it down. The state of mind that you're in as you do this exercise makes a huge difference. Don't slouch in your chair or your brain will be slouched. You want to engage your creativity and your heart's desire. Silence the little voice in your head that says you can't, you won't. Talk about brainstorming the things that get you excited and get you emotional. We can organise all of that later. So crank up the music, take a pen, don't stop writing, just doodle whatever comes to your head. It may help to think of your goals in the following categories. The things you might want to acquire, the things you might want to learn, experiences you might wish to have, emotions you'd like to feel more of, relationships you'd like to create or share, things that you'd like to create, anything you wish would contribute and make a difference to your life. Take a moment to do that now, and when you come back, we can kick on with some SMART goals. SMART goals. SMART goals and introduction. The problem with the manner that most individuals record their goals is they're not clearly written enough in a manner that constitutes success or achievement of goals. There is often a flaw in the goal structure, and the goal setter loses sight of the bigger picture along the way. So we have an acronym called SMART, which relates to how the goal should be written. SMART stands for the following: S for specific, M for measurable, A for achievable, R for realistic, and T for time-bound. Check out the difference between a goal written in SMART format versus a goal written in non-SMART format. So non-SMART format first. I want to lose weight. SMART format, I want to lose 4 kilos of body fat within the next 2 months. How could we possibly determine whether we're on track to our weight loss goal and when or whether it's been achieved without clarity of the SMART format? For example, relating to that weight loss goal that we described above, would half a kilo of weight loss be considered successful? What if the weight was from muscle wastage or dehydration? How does that rate? What if we lost 4 kilos, but over 2 years duration? And what if we were morbidly obese from the start and 4 kilos was really not a lot in the grand scheme of things? As you can see from these questions, it's impossible to determine whether the goal is on track to be hit without the SMART format. So let's now go into a little bit more detail on SMART. So we'll start with specific. A specific goal has a much greater chance of being accomplished than a general goal. To set a specific goal, you must answer the 6 W's question. Who? Who is involved? You? A team? Your family? What? What exactly do you want to accomplish? Where? Identify a location that you will aim to accomplish this. When? What's the ideal time frame? Which? Identify requirements and constraints. And why? What are the specific reasons, purpose, or benefits of accomplishing the goal that will make a difference to you? So an example of a specific goal versus a general goal would be: general goal, to get in shape. A specific goal will be to join a health club and work out 3 days a week commencing next Monday. I intend to do 45 minutes of weightlifting exercise on each session. That's a specific goal. So let's move on to measurable. Ensure your goal has concrete criteria for measuring success. Measurability provides an objective feedback of how you are tracking relative to time. This is of immense importance when you're going for sales targets, such as your 1-week personal sales target of 40. Without being able to measure your stats against some measurable time frame, how would you ever know whether you're on track to hit your target? The old phrase suggests, what is measured gets managed. Was it measured gets managed? Achievable. When you identify goals that are most important to you, you begin to seek out ways to make them come true. You develop the attitudes, abilities, skills, and financial capacity to reach them. You begin seeing previously overlooked opportunities to bring yourself closer to the achievement of your goals. You can attain any goal you set your mind to when you plan your steps wisely and establish a time frame that allows you to carry out those steps. Goals that may have seemed far away, out of reach, eventually become close and attainable, not because your goals shrink, but because you grow and expand to match them. When you list your goals, you build your self-image. you see yourself as worthy of these goals and develop the traits and personalities that allow you to possess them. R for realistic. To be realistic, a goal must represent an objective towards which you're both willing and able to work. A goal can be both high and realistic. You're the only one who can decide just how high your goal should be, not me. Be sure that every goal represents substantial progress. A high goal is frequently easier to reach than a low one because a low goal exerts low motivational force. Some of the hardest jobs you ever accomplished actually seem easy because they were a labor of love. Your goal is realistic if you truly believe that it can be accomplished. Additional ways to know if your goal is realistic is to determine if you have accomplished anything similar in the past, or ask yourself what conditions would have to exist to accomplish this goal. And the last of our SMART format parameters is time bound. A goal should be grounded within a time frame. With no time frame, there is no sense of urgency. If you want to lose 10 kilos, when do you want to lose it by? Someday is not a time. When you anchor it within a time frame, such as the 1st of May, then you've set your subconscious mind into motion to begin working on that goal. And that's why setting a time-bound goal is imperative. So your goal tree, let's talk about the difference between outcome goals and strategy goals. Once you've got your head around how goals should be written, it's a smart ploy to consider your goals on 2 levels: the outcome goal, the end result of what performance or achievement will bring to you. This is usually a material good, an experience, a feeling, or a health effect. This is the bigger one. The strategy goal is the goal or the collection of goals that must be achieved along the way as you progress towards your outcome goal. Hitting sales targets and saving cash is the most common basis for strategy goal at IPG. As part of the process of forming your strategy goals, you need to conduct some workings to ensure your strategy goals, if executed properly, deliver your outcome goal. You are in effect determining if they are SMART. These goals are referred to as your goal tree. So when you're writing your goals, you've got to think along these lines. What do I want to have, feel, or be? And how am I going to get there? What do I need to do? So let's talk about some goal trees written in SMART format. For example, the outcome goal for me might be to buy a second-hand Holden Commodore to the value of $8,000 by the end of the year. The strategy goal would be to achieve 25 sales per week between now and the end of this year, and to save 5 profit sales per week commencing immediately until the end of the year. I'll transfer these savings into an account so I don't spend them. So we need to be sure that these SMART goals are indeed SMART. Yes, they're specific. Yes, we can measure both. Yes, $8,000 is achievable. It's 100 profit sales or thereabouts. Let's just say there was 40 weeks of the year. That's an average of 2.5 sales a week. Easy. Yep. Definitely realistic. And yes, this goal is time bound. Based on the arrangement, we should be able to achieve the purchase of a car well before the end date of the year if we're aggressive with our sales targets and planning. Let's look at another one, an outcome goal such as to reduce my waist size from 40 inches to 36 inches by the end of this year. And let's just assume it's March. Well, your strategy goals could be to have a personal trainer consultation within 2 weeks, to have a weigh-in and waist measurement to check the progress once per week and record the results, to participate in 2 30-minute medium to high intensity cardio sessions each week, plus 20 minutes to 30 minutes twice a week lifting sessions. So a total of 4 exercise sessions per week. To begin eating more health consciously, immediately consuming smaller meals, stopping eating when I'm full, and choosing less processed foods. Again, you can see that we've incorporated the SMART format. Staying on track and experiencing success. Here are some tips. Make your goals visual. As you already know, we only use 3% of our brains at a conscious level. By making our goals visual, we imprint them at a deeper level, and our brain will direct us towards opportunities that move closer to them. So grab an A3 paper, a stack of magazines, photographs, and create your own goal board. Look at it every day, visualize it. These are the things that inspire you. Put it in front of your sales folder or a diary so that every time you open it up, every time you're having a tough day, you can remind yourself what it is that you're working towards. Look, how do you eat an elephant? One mouthful at a time. So ensure you break down any long-term goals into smaller milestones. Achieving smaller goals will help to boost your confidence in the same way that a sports coach attacks team goals by working on the performance of the individuals within his team. With large, ambitious goals, you should do the same. Another tip is to celebrate how far you've come. So Deborah Veal, a young lady who was awarded the MBA for rowing the Atlantic Ocean single-handedly, tells how it was too depressing to see on a map how far she had to go. So when she plotted a position, she banned herself from rolling the map out fully. Instead, she'd look at only how far she'd come and plotted her new position. That way, she'd stay motivated by how far she'd come, not how far she still had to go. Schedule in your strategic actions. When you're committed to making something happen, you will find the time. But a surefire way is to schedule it. That way, I don't have time is simply an excuse that disappears. Time is one resource we're all given equal amounts of, whether you are you or the President of the United States. And until some bright spark invents travel time or time travel, it's the only resource we can never replace. So choose it wisely. The greatest misuse of time is that humans tend to vastly overestimate the short term, yet totally underestimate the long term. If you fit into this category, then snap yourself out of it now. Go about achieving your goals now. The people who hit their planned goals, that have success, put the hard yards in for days and months and years right now. Another tip is to track it. Stay on track by monitoring your progress towards goals. There's no need to become excessive about it, but it helps to break down your plan into daily, weekly, or monthly time-specific targets and measure your progress against these. A jumbo jet which travels from, say, Heathrow to Sydney is only ever on track for 2% of the entire journey. The pilot's job primarily one of monitoring where they are against the flight path and make any necessary adjustments, and that's where tracking comes in. A last tip, make yourself accountable. If you make goals public amongst your peers, then you're probably more likely to achieve them. You cannot change what you do not acknowledge. So shout it out, as subconsciously you will believe that these goals are more achievable to you once you commit to them. You can put them out into your network, create a supportive peer group who are committed to help you achieve the goals. If someone's asking, how are you getting on with whatever goal, it will give you a push in the right direction. So moving on to our next topic now is the art of alignment and empathy. When prospects do not represent the responses we expect or desire, it's a natural reaction to become defensive. Our ego insists that we immediately push the feeling, yep, I'm right, you're wrong. Psychologically, you may win the argument, this doesn't mean you win the sale. And to do this, you must first win the prospect's trust and demonstrate value. Only then are you likely to close a sale, because people buy off people that they like or that they are like, and trust is essential in that process. Customers are more savvy now than ever before, and the hard closing techniques of yesteryears don't work anymore. The good news is that if perfected, there is very effective art to handling prospects' resistance, and it's called the art of alignment and empathy, and it's built on the Joneses theory, which we'll cover soon. The theory that everyone wants to be accepted and no one wants to think that they're the first person to buy from you. Think about it. Everyone wants to buy from an expert in the field. This saves a prospect from making a poor decision. Imagine being a sports car enthusiast on your way to test drive and perhaps buy your first Ferrari. You're all pumped up, you take it for a spin, you absolutely love it, you return it to the dealership and the dealer says, you know, I want this car. How would you feel if, as the salesperson, you replied, I'm sure you do, it's a beautiful car, I've never driven one, but they're meant to be really great, huh? Huh? Meant to be? You thought you were dealing with an expert, someone that could alleviate your purchase anxiety, someone who made you feel like you were not on your own, someone that many people had spent this kind of money with before. All of a sudden, you're not feeling so good about the purchase, are you? Because the salesperson has not given you any level of confidence or trust. So, what do I do? Make it your mindset first to befriend a prospect before you try to sell them. The whole rapport building process is essentially the art of alignment and empathy playing out. Generally speaking, whatever the prospect says during your interaction, even if it seems logically counterproductive to do so, you should first agree with them before saying another word. This demonstrates a respect for the prospect's need and shows empathy. You're aligning with them as different to opposing them. This is critically important when you're handling your objections so the negotiation doesn't become an argument. Here are some great phrases that you can use. Yeah, that's great. I understand totally. Yeah, I agree. Hey, I appreciate that. Look, I respect that. Yeah, for sure. Yep, cool. Totally get it, man. So I'm going to go through some examples of how you could respond using the art of alignment and empathy to a customer objection. So an objection such as, I just don't have the cash, could be met with, yep, that's cool, no problems at all. We accept cards, checks, and can I ask something, is there something else getting in your way? Obviously you're up for a day paintballing, right? Or, it's too far. Yep, yeah, it's a couple of hours, totally. And the cool thing is, for your tickets, they sort you for an 8-hour day. What most people do is hire a minibus or get a designated driver and crack a few beers on the drive back after the day finishes. Or, I don't get paid till Friday. I know exactly how that feels. I get paid Friday as well. So we'll do what's called a post date, right? So get your card out and I'll take you through the process. Or, I left my wallet at home. Yeah, for sure. I totally understand. You didn't come here expecting to see paintball guys, right? Look, just call one of the guys and they can give you a spot and we'll get it sorted. So align with the customer rather than argue with the customer. So now we're going to go through some IPG values. We are unashamedly a sales organization, and this is represented in our company values. These values reflect and define who we are, our purpose, and our standards of behavior. They're the key to the success of this business and form the foundations of everything we do. Why not align your values with ours? Let's go through them now. Sales. We reward performance. The more you perform over a period of time, the higher you climb on the progression path. The key theme is ownership, as you are given every opportunity to dominate at IPG. Luck has nothing to do with it. If you follow our sales principles and commit to excellence, you will succeed. You will reap the benefits of the best direct sales remuneration system in the world, but it is up to you. Honesty, integrity, and trust. We operate from a place of integrity and take responsibility for our actions. We keep our promises and follow through on our word. We are honest in our business and expect honesty from those who we deal with. We communicate with each other when challenges arise and seek first to understand. We expect our sellers to behave in an honest and straightforward manner when representing the brand and the product. Misrepresentation will not be tolerated and will lead to contract termination immediately. Teamwork. As a team, we welcome and embrace new talent. The team creates an environment that nurtures each individual's talents, enabling all contractors to create high levels of success for themselves. We encourage that, but we'll never put a sale ahead of a team member. That is not what we're about. We embrace continued professional development, but recognize that at the heart of any team is a bunch of happy individuals who all contribute to the vibe. Be one of those guys. And enjoyment. This has always been the cornerstone of IPG. We strive to create a genuine, enjoyable atmosphere in the office and in the field. We are all in the business of selling an experience, so you must be able to prospect and project that to your colleagues and, of course, your customers. We ensure our fun experiences are not at the expense of others, and we do not bully. So that's a wrap on our values. Now we're going to move on to some superseller laws and beliefs. So we want to dedicate this last section of the manual to giving you a little piece of the mentality of our supersellers. To many, new sellers that come into the office, they make the mistake of thinking that it's just a matter of turning up and the sales would flood in, and how wrong they are. They see the very extroverted manner in which our supersellers project themselves and think that confidence alone is going to get them through. Importantly, this is at the core. You need to put work into your practice. Those weeks where you crunch 50 sales or more come off the back of weeks of presentation rehearsal and honing your skills. Unless you're willing to put in that effort, entering the top 20% of sellers will remain a dream. So now, Let's discuss some principles and beliefs that we observe the supersellers committing to every day. If you make the mental shift from paintball ticket seller to professional salesperson, you soon too will be getting amongst those higher level pay packets. So the first principle is the law of cause and effect. Have you ever noticed that in your office there's a couple of sellers that dominate every single day? They were consistently performing, and they're often referred to as other sellers as lucky. Do you believe in luck? Or you're a realist who subscribes to creating your own luck by thinking of luck as the outcome when preparation meets opportunity? In the sales game, it's imperative that you understand that consistent results are based on a repetition of the same behavioral patterns that cause positive outcomes. What looks like luck to a naive observer is really just the superseller's belief and being both mentally and physically prepared to close a deal when the opportunity presents. Think about that lucky black diamond that you saw your mentor close. It wasn't luck. This is the law of cause and effect in action. It states that outcomes or effects, such as sales, vibe, health, happiness, money, do not happen by chance. They are the manifestation of a set of factors or practices that you do every day. Practice presenting, mental rehearsal, eating breakfast, having sales resources prepared, etc., etc. The law states that if you practice the same set of factors, positive or negative, consistently, you will soon get consistently the same results. Consider the following phrase. The definition of insanity is to continue doing the same thing and expecting a different result. Well, this statement is based simply on the law of cause and effect, isn't it? In that the only way you're going to change your outcomes is to change the practices that give rise to those outcomes. Importantly, there are two ways you can use the law of cause and effect to your advantage to bring about a better performance. 1. Review your own performance every day. If it was a great day, then look back at the things you did to make it a great day. Implement these in your routines and behaviors on a daily basis, and they will eventually give rise to consistent results. And when you're having a slow day, it's even more important to stick to your success practices. Don't go chasing rabbits that is varying from the causes that have brought you success in the past. Observe what the supersellers in your office do and copy them. Often their success practices are both obvious and predictable, and if you mimic them consistently, you will eventually get the same results as they do. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. You can also make use of the cause and effect law in the converse. Think back to your crappy days, or alternatively, observe others in your office whose performance is not up to scratch with those who you respect. And whatever you did on those bad days, scrap it. Exclude those causes from your practice. Make it a rule to purposely exclude the bad practices you observe in others from your own daily routines. Success is not about luck. It's about committing to working hard and learning from the great sellers. Become a sponge for their advice and keep questioning them on why they are doing certain things. By taking ownership for your success, all excuses go up in a puff of smoke. Principle 2 is the 80-20 rule. Ask yourself this: why are you working in a results-based role? Well, IPG Life brings with it many awesome benefits. The most of these is the uncapped earning potential. Many other companies try to match our progression system, but in reality, no one gets close. We've got a model that allows our top sellers to earn incomprehensible amounts, and we pay this with the utmost delight, knowing that you truly deserve to be paid handsomely for your hard work. Direct selling is not for everyone. However, for those that have the gritty resolve and the positivity and the massive work ethic, big things present. The ability to rapidly earn massive amounts of money in direct selling is the reason why our high flyers revel in this environment. There is, however, a blunt reality in life known as the 80-20 rule. The law states that for many life events, roughly 80% of the effects come from 20% of the causes. For example, in any one office, 80% of the profit is earned by the top 20% of the sellers. In IPG globally, the top 20% of sellers earn 80% of the total combined profit. In your individual sales weeks, if you're working effectively with the packages, for example, the package sheets, 80% of your sales will come from just 20% of your customers by the time you work effectively. And in IPG globally, the top 20% of offices will achieve 80% of all the total global sales. Your goal is to work out a plan to get yourself into that top 20% and anchor down. One of the most obvious traits of a superseller is their competitive streak. In fact, we often find that high-priced incentives are less successful about bringing about a top seller's performance than simply offering bragging rights to the victor. Whilst the super seller is humble in defeat, under no circumstances will they let them slip down out of the high-performance group. For it is this group that demands the maximum pay. They have the greatest job satisfaction. They're the ones that stick around. So you need to get into that top group. Before we move into the next principle, let's ensure a practical application of the 80-20 rule here is identified. If 20% of your efforts in selling give rise to 80% of your results, make these the hallmarks of your practice. Number 1, work hard and take ownership for your results. Number 2, use the pack sheet, which your mentor will introduce to you, and rehash the sale every time. Maximum sale extraction from any prospect is the key to big sales. And 3, remember the 8 steps. Above all other sales theory, these must be the reference point to which you always rank your efforts against. They are the top 3. Work hard, use the pack sheet and rehash, and remember the 8 steps. Takes us on to principle 3, which is called the winning edge theory. So, why is it that makes the super sellers exactly that? Is it having the gift of the gab or previous sales experience? Confidence to burn or an extroverted personality? Well, look, these traits definitely help, but the idea of a born salesperson is overrated. Put simply, the super sellers do the small things just marginally better than the rest, the other 80%. This is, however, great news for the other 80% because it means that a quantum change in your results will occur if you too can make small, incremental, but significant improvements to your behaviors. Consider the following 2 examples, one from the field and one from outside of it. Imagine you could make just one more presentation on each day you worked in the field. If you worked for 5 days a week for 48 weeks, that would be 240 more presentations. So let's say you were closing at 50%. That's an extra 120 deals. With a decent package and rehash rate, you could turn this into, for example, 300 extra deals. Multiply that by your profit level. The 2011 prize money for the Australian Melbourne Cup exceeded $6 million. Of this, the winner received 3.3 and the 10th placed horse received 115,000. So while the winner received 29 times the prize money of the 10th place horse, do you think that our victor was 29 times better? In fact, less than 10 lengths separated the 2 horses. Let us tell you right now, in the upcoming days and weeks, you are going to see some monumental improvements in your performance. You'll become more confident at delivering the presentation and handling objections, but then the learning curve will slow down. You must remember that self-improvement is not a destination you'll suddenly reach. As part of the journey, you need to commit to working on those little 1%ers that the other guys cannot be bothered addressing. At this point is when you step into that top 20%, because you take advantage of the winning edge theory, just being that little bit better. Principle 4 is the law of averages, which we've always talking about. No one skill or behavior in the sales game can substitute for a high work ethic. It's the truth. The law of averages works on the general premise that if you speak to enough people, you will make sales. And whilst this is a good point to remember, how can we use it practically? In sales, even the best salespeople have poor days. And so it's important to remember that you cannot look at selling as a short-term game. To do so is more like gambling. In the same way that assessing the success of a financial investment after one day investing is definitely erroneous, so too is evaluating sales performance on any one day in isolation. Here is what you can guarantee, however. If you ask enough people about paintball, you'll get yourself into some presentations, correct? If you get into some presentations, you'll make some closes, correct? And if you close enough prospects, you'll turn at least a few of those into multi-sales, right? And if you make enough sales, you'll be making money and be closer to hitting your personal goals, right? It's that simple. Practically, belief in the law of averages prevents you from becoming attached to the emotional highs and lows of a day or a week. This ties amazingly well into the 8 steps in allowing you to feel more in control of your results, providing you keep applying your success causes, the law of cause and effect. Your law of averages will take care of the rest. We could tell you hundreds of stories of where sellers have been on 0 at 3 p.m. and finished the day on 10 at 5 p.m. Here's the key point the super sellers recognise. The difference between an average day and a great day can just be 15 minutes of work. But if you drop your head for those 15 minutes of the day, you may just miss that lucky sale. You know, the one that would have been that lucky sale was the one that got your day started. Once you incorporate the law of averages into your practice, you will come to expect some consistency in your results. It becomes more like a science. To take it to the next level as a super seller, you must then subscribe to the winning edge theory and believe that even small increases with your skill levels will see massive returns on your results. So that brings us to our last law, the law of reciprocity. If you intend on being in the field of sales for a long time, then you must understand that people matter. The law of reciprocity states that one must give in order to receive. And as an independent contractor, many sellers think or make the mistake that their actions, both with their prospects and their colleagues, affect only them. Nothing could be further from the truth, and the super sellers know that. Too many sellers see their prospects as simply a way to earn money, instead of actually exercising some empathy and taking the time to demonstrate how our product meets their needs. Those that make a friend before they make a sale, experiencing higher sales yields per customer and lower refund rates. Actually listening to your prospect and working with them on a solution to their concerns or objections demonstrates value, and they'll usually reciprocate that with a sale. This principle also extends to the office. Whilst we acknowledge that competitiveness is healthy and a necessary trait of a super seller, resenting another's success is not. Super sellers use the achievement of colleagues to motivate their own performance. They're generally happy that others around them are experiencing positive outcomes and want to share in those great times. There's nothing more true than a happy office being a successful one, and vice versa. Happiness and rapport amongst colleagues stems from a willingness to assist each other and to continue developing skills. Enjoy the social side of IPG, because this is what differentiates us from most businesses. And be aware that what comes around goes around. So we're at the departure now, and I'm guessing you're feeling a little bit of progress. Over the past few manuals that we've done, we've covered some crucial concepts. However, none is more important than goal setting. The setting of goals is a hallmark of a super seller. You here have an opportunity to chip away at all those big things you've ever wanted. There are the guys here who've bought houses, cars, traveled the world on the cash they've earned from IPG, but before any of this happened, they made a commitment to making their dream a reality, and now it's your chance. And don't forget your performance incentive. We seriously recommend you maximize your first month on this job and supersize that incentive. Rather than take the foot off the pedal, wait until the end to have a short break. Do 4 big full weeks so that you've got a big opportunity to spend a big incentive at the end of it. Your immediate goal should be to crunch that personal sales target. The first one, 50, to get you towards your incentive. And then your next one will be your senior sales consultant target, the 40 in 1 week. This is all that stands in your way to achieving your first progression. Climbing the progression path as soon as possible is the best way to get control over your revenue and income, and immediately your career. Only at the top of the IPG path can the true potential of this job opportunity be unlocked. Get there now. So next, we're going to be hitting the Republic of Ireland on our next step in Manual 4. We're going to step things up a little level now and go into a little bit more detail on how best to take advantage of all of the traditional sales channels. We'll follow up with a more advanced look at objection handling, but for now, let's move on.